Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Double Bind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Welcome to the blackest podcast out there. I am your host, Springle, and I've got my co-host here, Bugs, and we've got our friends in-house. We've got Kuru out of Atlanta, Georgia, and then, of course, we've got Sneed back in the house. He is coming from New Jersey. Now, FYI, if anyone has any complaints about our mic quality, understand in the time of COVID, we are not doing this in studio. So there are some logistical challenges to clarity. So just keep that in mind. Bear with us. It only gets better. So what's up, gentlemen?
What's going on, everybody?
Good evening.
Oh, shit, I was on mute. All right, let me do it again.
Really?
Let me do it again. Sorry.
But anyway, yeah, so like I said, we're going to talk about some pop culture issues here. Feel free to join in. Bugs, I know you had some issues and topics that you wanted to address. I know that shit was staying on your brain for a minute. So what exactly did you want to talk about this week? Let it out. Let it out. Let's hear it.
Yeah, this week, I really just want to get into it. I want to talk about HBO's Lovecraft Country. I think the show is phenomenal. This week is going to be the 5th episode. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. You may hear some spoilers here on the show. So you've been warned. The show is phenomenal and it's very black. I think that's what I love about it the most. It's created by Misa Green and executive produced by Jordan Peele, notably from the movie, he directed the movie Us. It also stars
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams, yeah. For sure. It stars Journey Smollett, Quabanjane Ellis, and it's so great. And I think one of the key reasons why I love it is because it's black as f***. Like the casting, behind the scenes, it's just a lot of richness and blackness that's in it.
Blackity black.
But for people, blackity black. For people who don't know, what's his name? Is it the other Mark? Not Mark Jacobs. What's the young boy's name?
Jonathan Majors.
There you go. But for people who don't know, just a little bit of background. It's based on a dark fantasy horror novel by Matt Ruff. And it's about exploring the conjunction between the horror fiction and racism in the United States during the era of Jim Crow laws. And, you know, they're moving through the Chicago area and Boston area, as they encounter supernatural beings, as well as fighting the oppressor. So it's a brilliant show. Have any of you guys checked it out? What are your thoughts?
I haven't seen it as of yet. I'm definitely going to get into it. My question to you, somebody who's definitely watched it, do you think there are a lot of black writers on the show? Like they're writing properly for us? Because, you know, most of the shows over the years have been white writers writing for us, which has been part of the problem.
I actually follow the podcast that debut after the end of the episodes, and I'm not going to say that they're all black. I think that the majority is.
I know for sure there is one writer that is black because I have interacted with him on Twitter. I'm not sure if there are others, but I know for sure there is one screenwriter, and he promotes it, you know, hashtag Lovecraft Country every week, right before it airs. So I know for sure there is. I would assume there are others. You know, it's helmed by blackness. So
there's a woman who actually writes, who does the podcast after the show. So it's the one that I listen to. She's a female writer on the show. So that's two at least.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it'd be an issue, but sometimes you can definitely tell when they're writing for us compared to us writing for us. And certain phrases that they have us say that I'm like, okay, I don't know what show you've been watching, but we don't speak like that, or that's not our mannerisms, but I don't expect your ass to know because you're not us. So you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference sometimes, but I'm glad that, you know, HBO is doing what they need to do. And I don't know if you guys heard what's happening with the Oscars, but they're making the Oscars now that you have to meet certain criteria to even get nominated. And it's a lot of inclusion of diversity and stuff like that. And I was actually pretty surprised they're doing that. And of course, you just push back because people feel like, if I got to put a black person in now, maybe that's not the story I wanted.
Kuro, if the percentage of writers on this particular show were more white than black. Is that an issue for you? Is that kind of why you're asking the question?
Well, they're throwing us a bone. It seems like the Hollywood equivalent to affirmative action. But
True.
So it's like, thanks. And we have to take the opportunities where we can get them. But I still think we need to present more opportunities for ourselves. I guess the Tyler Perrys and whatnot, having our own studios, having our own, in my eyes, is not a bad thing.
I mean, I think the fact that they're even considering changing, the guidelines that have been there for years is a good start. Let's not pretend like there's been plenty of times the Oscars received backlash pretty much every year because, there's not enough people of color in the nominees and movies and diversity. And they shrug it off like, okay, see you next year. So I think it's a great thing that they're taking steps, and who knows what the future will bring. The times are changing, people are fed up. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next, and they're actually going to stick with it, and there's going to be real effects of these new changes.
Exactly. I also think that if I read correctly, the board members, they've just elected a huge percentage of black folks. And I think that's probably one of the reasons things have changed.
Sorry, just to piggyback on that, Sneed, what you were saying, the backlash every year, I particularly remember one year where it was Oscars So White. That was the hashtag that went viral because there were no people of color were nominated in that particular year, and the Hollywood foreign press just did not want to recognize people of color. Having said that, on the flip end, looking at shows like, Underground, even though it's canceled, but Lovecraft Country, what's the other one? I May Destroy You, Insecure. These are all other HBO shows helmed by black writers, female black writers at that, and producers and creators and whatnot. And I just think that the Hollywood foreign press is going to be forced to recognize and having to give us awards, whether they like it or not. Also, if we do or do not get the award, I don't think it matters too much. It does and it doesn't. But I feel like the power that it has for us to receive it as an audience is the real reward.
Good point. I just wanted to add real quick before we move on to the next topic. Considering Lovecraft Country, one of the things I like most about this particular show, I don't know how many of you, the youngest one here would definitely be you, Bugs. Yeah, I hear you. Alfred Hitchcock. So this feels very much like a black Alfred Hitchcock mixed with a bit of Stranger Things. And I'm loving every bit of the show. I'm a bit late. I've had Sneed try to beat it into me. You need to check it out. You need to check it out. I know what you like. You will like this. And of course, I'm like, maybe. I finally got a chance to catch up with it. I'm only on to episode 4 currently, but amazing show. I love the fact that you're now seeing black people in stories that you would never sort of contemplate or conceptualize before. Usually we play a lot more simpler roles, and I love the fact that this show in itself is kind of breaking that barrier down and allowing people to see black people in so many different types of narratives and so many different types of stories and plots. So kudos to the producers and the writers and the actors themselves.
Let's shout out Jurnee Smollett's character, because she's not playing your typical woman that's being supported by a man in a television show. She's strong and independent within her own right, and her determination to fight against oppression while still embracing supernatural is just remarkable. And I'm just a huge fan of hers.
Let's talk about a video I just saw online and I shared with some of you guys. Let's look at the fact that a young black woman actually put her daughter on social media where she's beating her because this young lady was online in a very sexually provocative manner. And so she was upset with her, and she goes into the car and she's beating her daughter, and she puts all of this on live. So I know, Sneed, you had something to say about that. I know it's crazy. So let me hear what your thoughts are.
Well, I was watching the video, and at first I was like, well, what the hell did she do? I guess the punishment came before the crime. So I was a little confused. But when I saw like her showing her coochie pie back shots, and I got really upset. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna whoop her ass too. You're absolutely right. And then I started reading the comments and people were talking about, oh, you need to call Child Protective Services and you don't have to hit the child like that and beat her on and filming it and doing this and doing that. I get so tired of people telling other folks what they should be doing and how to discipline their kids. You don't know what you would do or how you would respond in that moment when you discover that your child is doing these things online. And I was raised by two severe people who would discipline me probably the same way. If I did something online and I'm just exposing myself out there, the punishment for my crime would be exactly what I get filmed online. And I didn't have a problem with it. I think that kids are out of control and they don't fear their parents and they don't understand that there are long-term consequences for the things that they do.
Somehow I feel like Boogs has something to say. I can just feel it. I can feel it.
My energy was almost palpable. Sneed, I hear what you're saying, and I kind of agree because children today are getting out of hand. But are they really getting out of hand, or is it just being filmed? Because they're not really doing anything new. We did the same thing, or people that we knew did the same thing. It's just, or now being recorded. My thing is, I watched the video and I found it extremely abhorrent that I was even seeing it. The fact that I'm watching this take place by this young lady who is a minor is disheartening within itself. Not only that, what abuse is that child facing on a daily basis because that's learned behavior. Those sexual acts that she was demonstrating with her body and holding the camera and positioning it in a way that you could see.
Yeah, and even the noises and sexual noises.
And the noises that she was making, that's learned behavior. She's learned that in her household. So she's either watching or she's being abused.
Hold on. Do you think she learned it in the household, or could it possibly be, like maybe the mom or the dad left porn? Because again, the young lady was actually imitating
but it would still be in the household, right? Whether it's hers or someone else's, that's behavior that's learned within that home.
Why is it the home? It's everywhere. Why are we so quick to say, oh, that's learned behavior that she learned in her home? That's something that she has absorbed from her home. I mean, I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen, but her reaction, the mother's reaction to me, does not suggest that.
I would honestly think, well, one, because of technology and the fact that kids nowadays, and we all know it, are a lot further along due to technology than we were at their age. And if parents aren't technically sound, like know how to get into a phone and probably lock certain things off, and even if they do, the girl could probably have friends and their stuff isn't locked off. So when they're around each other, they go through each other's phones and see all this kind of stuff. So they're exposed to a lot more sex. Because like for us, we probably found dad's Playboys. I mean, hopefully it's Playboys, not Playgirls. But Playboys under the bed. Not to digress, but basically, we found one magazine and whatnot, whereas kids literally can get online and have hours and hours and hours. They're exposed to so much. So now my issue is with us Black people, we should know things a little bit better. We should not be filming ourselves beating our children or putting it online because we are Black and we know we don't get the same pass as Caucasians do. So you got to be smarter than that. But that ass whooping, justified. You're showing your nanny on TV or looking for licks.
Exactly. Just like when I was in elementary school, you want to act out in class, you want to act like a class clown, guess what? You're going to get your ass beat in front of the damn class.
I will say this, we kind of all have very similar upbringings in terms of being young and doing dumb stuff and having to pay the consequences. I think there should be another way to approach that. And then I'm with Boogs on that. First of all, that shouldn't be live for people to see. I know she's trying to publicly embarrass the child, which is adding to the trauma of the child. And then you have the physical element. You know what I mean?
And I also just want to add to that because there was a case here in Toronto where a young lady was sending salacious pictures of herself. Salacious, that's a word, right?
Yes.
Okay. There was a case here in Toronto, and a young lady was sending salacious pictures of herself to her, I guess, her schoolmates, and the father had found the phone. So to punish his daughter, he took the phone, took the picture, and sent it to every single one of her friends in the school. The police ended up getting involved, and he got charged with, I want to say it was 23 counts of distribution of child pornography because he had sent it to 23 minors, and the picture was of a minor. So when I'm watching that video on social media of the young girl, and again, the mother has recorded the video, she edited the video, and she uploaded the video to the internet, my second thought while watching it was she should also be receiving counts of distribution of child pornography. Now, that may be a little harsh, but that was my thinking. And however many people have viewed it, however many people have clicked it, that should equate to the number of distribution charges she should be facing.
The reality is, common sense would tell you, if you're posting it, it's child pornography, in which way you're promoting it. And there is some sick freaks out there who are getting off on it. So you have to be very mindful of it. You're putting a child's business out there for the world to see. So you're correct. I think some people get so angry that you let common sense dwindle. But we can't get away from discipline, because I think everybody on this podcast has gotten disciplined by their parents. And I'm sure very thankful for some of the ass whoopings we got, because we're all successful in our own rights, because we learned of consequences and what not to do, and not just the world is going to be fair to you. You're going to get your ass handed to you if you do something wrong.
Amen. Amen. Very good point.
Hold on, gentlemen, slow down for a second. I love this. I'm in love with this moment because I love the fact that both of you feel passionate about what you're saying. Let me just clarify between the four of us here. Boogs, with the video we watched, would you consider what that woman was doing to the child a beating or a form of physical abuse?
We grew up with parents that whooped our asses, checked us, grabbed us, beat us with belts and things. And we could sit here now and we could say as adults we're better because of it. But I just want to throw the question out. Are we? Would we know if we didn't get those severe ass whoopings? Would we be worse off? We're just assuming that behavior corrected something that was negative in us. We wouldn't know if it would actually go the opposite way because it's not a lived experience for us.
Okay, so let me see if I understand this. Boogs, you're saying that can we rest on the argument saying that because we did get the discipline that we got as Black youth, would we be better or different if we didn't have it?
I'm saying we don't know. Like we're basically sitting here on the side of we are better adults and we're successful in our adult lives because of the beatings that we received while we were young. I'm saying we don't know if we would still be successful or better if we didn't receive those beatings when we were young.
Well, why wouldn't we? Why would you think that we wouldn't be?
What do you mean?
Well, how would we learn choices and consequences? How would we learn what to do?
Because you can learn that. I'm saying that I'm advocating for the simple fact that you could be a decent, successful human being without physical abuse, without the beatings.
Okay, when we say physical abuse, that's a very fine line, because you keep saying child abuse and beatings, and that has a negative connotation to it. Are we talking about beatings and child abuse, or are we talking about being disciplined for doing something wrong? It's completely different things.
Both. It's they're hand in hand. What's the difference?
I don't think she was abusing the child at all. I honestly feel like she could have stopped at some point. I thought there was a point where she actually stopped and she kind of started back up again. I don't know. She was just caught in the moment, but it's like, you can't sit here and say, oh, that's child abuse, because you're not put in that situation. You don't have a child. You can say, oh, they could have thought from this mind frame, because you don't know what state they were in. That's your child. You see your child exposing herself in this way. There's no way that your emotions are going to be able to contain that kind of fury as a parent. And I don't have any children, but I will tell you this, if I had a child or I had a son and they're flashing their junk and their private parts on the internet, oh my God, I don't know what I would do. I would have to run around the block a few times before I have a conversation with my child.
I said what I said. That's it.
So, Kuru, in terms of you being disciplined as a child, how was it for you?
You know, as a child growing up, when I got my ass whoopings, because I know what kind of person I am, I knew I deserved it because I knew I was doing some wrong shit. And my father explained it to me after the fact. And so did my mother. Whenever I got ass whooping, trust me, they let me know why. For this young lady, I understand the rage that probably was going through her brain, especially the way young Black girls are being raped and murdered and disappearing. All that stuff probably ran through her mother's head. And I also picked up, this is just me maybe, that the mother herself was probably traumatized as a child in something of that nature.
I did get similar energy to what you're saying, Kuru, in terms of her reaction was so passionate. I almost felt like, did this mother have a situation where she was molested? You know what I mean? When she was younger. So that kind of stayed stuck in my mind.
Hey, most likely they had a conversation after, when she calmed down, had a conversation after and probably explained to her daughter why.
I'm going back to, why is the child doing that? So if there's not going to be any conversation, you're just going to whoop the child for doing that. You're not going to uncover where it was learned. Did they learn it from a friend? Did they learn it in a home? Did they learn it in another home? Did they learn it in the street? Did they learn it in the school?
I'm sure that conversation would come. Clearly, that wasn't her first thought.
So okay, so you're saying the discipline would come first in that form, and then the conversation would come subsequently.
Yes, because that's how it was in my household. When you did something like that or something, equivalent to that, yes, the discipline came and then the conversation came afterwards. That's just how it was in my household.
I still strongly feel that none of us should have seen that video.
I think people are sharing way, 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 way too much. Why are you posting this?
Woo. Episode has been on fire. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. We're going to keep it short and sweet this week. Once again, thank you to my guest co-host, Sneed, Kuru, and of course, my co-host extraordinaire, Boogs. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow us on all major social media platforms. And of course, please give us a comment on our brand new theme song on our YouTube page or anchor.fm. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Double Bind. And I'm your host, Springle. Tune in next week, and we'll see you then.